It's their country. For those of you on radio or podcasting, just so you know, that is a group of 200 to 300 military-aged men, just overwhelming Texas Border Patrol and Texas National Guard. The U.S. government is doing nothing. Remember, Joe Biden says they built the country. At what point is it time to start to at least use rubber bullets or use some sort of tear gas to prevent this and quell this invasion? They have no regard for the process, for legal immigration. And at what point do we use real force? You have to be willing to do it. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, Charlie, why are you so pro-Israel? One of the reasons I'm pro-Israel is that when Israel gets invaded on their border, they defend their border. If 300 Palestinian Arabs tried to run in Israel like that, it wouldn't end well for them. We're the only superpower on the planet where we just allow people to run them over. And we're supposed to, just so you understand, those military-aged males are now going to get cell phones, food, cash, flights to the interior of the United States. Why do we have a military? Why do we have men with guns if we can't use them? Having a country means being able to draw a line on the ground and say, this is our sovereign territory. If you enter, we have lethal force and we're willing to use it. And you can escalate. You don't have to start with lethal force. You can start with rubber bullets, start with tear gas. You can start with firing next to them, say, hey, we have weapons, we're willing to use them. The most fundamental right of both property and sovereignty is the right to exclude. You don't own your home, your country, or even your body if you can't protect it from breach with deadly force. Again, Israel shoots people who rush the Gaza fence. And Democrats in America defend Israel. Some do, not all of them. Jewish Democrats like Chuck Schumer and says, hey, Israel's defending itself, but why can't America defend itself the same way Israel defends itself? And understand, this is not about shooting people every day. If you do it once, maybe twice, when there is an actual invasion, people learn, and the threat of force is what keeps this sort of thing from happening. The same principle, by the way, applies to crime. If cops can't use force to stop criminals, criminals eventually learn they can just ignore the law with impunity. And again, for those of you on radio or podcasting that did not see the video we just played, I want you to picture, you can go to charliekirk.com and see the video. I want you to picture 300 to 400 military-aged men running through Texas National Guard with total, just the arrogance, celebrating that they're in the country. Criminals need to fear the police. So let me get this straight. Capitol Police on January 6th, it was okay to shoot Ashley Babbitt. And some people say yes, some people say no. She was not an invader. She was a military veteran. And we can't discharge a weapon when there's a invasion happening on our border. I want to play that video again. Could we play it without audio, guys, just so that we have the B-roll going? Because I think that on radio, I want to make sure that we can keep the monologue going. I want to play it again. How is this any different than somebody storming a country? By the way, where are all the women and kids in that video? Can someone tell me? Where are all the dreamers? And look, their hands are up and they know what to say, but they're not here for process, or they're told to stop. They're told to stop. They get in a conflict with Texas National Guard and in they come. And Joe Biden says those are the real Americans, by the way, and they come right up to the gates celebrating. Where are all the women and kids? Those are the men that will go into your communities and break into your homes and rape your women, take your children. But hey, they're dreamers. We're not doing background checks on them. We're not doing DNA checks on them. They just come right into the United States however they please. So I'm going to ask the question again. At what point should Texas use some form of force? They're just sitting there watching. Oh, yep, get out of the way. Boy, is that a powerful visual. 2024 America. National Guard that steps out of the way when your country gets invaded. And you can't blame him. If he dared lay hands on the illegals, he'd probably go to jail because illegals get preferential treatment in this country and Americans do not. Remember the whole whip fiasco? My position all along is, yes, it wasn't true, but of course you should be able to use whips against foreigners that are coming into your country. Why is that controversial? If you try to break into other sovereign countries, if you try to break into Russia, if you try to break into Saudi Arabia, if you try to break into Israel, if you try to break into China, if you try to break into Japan, if you try to break into Korea, a country that believes in its right to exist defends itself from intruders. And that visual that we just saw, it's happening every single day. We've said it before, and it might sound heated, but those who enable this, I believe they're guilty of treason. I really believe that. It is hard to see those images and not say, that's not the end of the country. You cannot have the continuation of America as we know it and have National Guard and Border Patrol kind of do like they're dancing with bulls in Barcelona. Come on in. And we just call balls and strikes here. And then they're going to come into the interior of the United States. They'll come to Chicago. They'll come to San Francisco. They'll come to New York. And it was every single day. So what can be done about it? What would happen if Texas started firing rubber bullets? Let's play this out. Let's just say rubber bullets. What would happen? And by the way, I don't rejoice in this. I don't want to have to use force, but these people are criminals. They're invading. They made the decision to invade. They made the decision to do a pincer movement into the United States of America. They are bringing force upon themselves. So what would happen if Texas all of a sudden started using rubber bullets, non-lethal rubber bullets? What would happen? The federal government would come in and sue them and maybe arrest the people that use the force. The federal government is more worried about policing the actions of Texas protecting its sovereignty than protecting the sovereignty of the nation. Not only should these people be deported, you need real deterrence. There is the castle doctrine in this country. The castle doctrine is that you're allowed to defend your home if it's being invaded, if it's being intruded upon, if it's being burglarized. Why can't you defend your country if it's being burglarized? These people are burglars, robbers, thieves, and criminals. They're effective squatters in the country, and we call them migrants. Stop using that term. This will not stop. And they laugh at us. You see that? They're kind of like rejoicing. They know we're never going to use force. The word is out in the insane asylums, in the prisons, in the gang communities. America is open. The greatest country ever to exist. They won't arrest you. They won't deter you. They won't deport you. They'll give you free stuff. And if you impregnate a woman, that child becomes a U.S. citizen because that's birthright citizenship. They are gaming every single rule, regulation, and custom and using it against us. And they are laughing about it. You got videos of illegal Venezuelans saying, hey, we're going to take over homes and sit as squatters in the major metropolitan areas. I think it's time to start use some form of force to defend our country before it gets too late.